The New York skyline glittered with an otherworldly magnificence as the Zarkath embassy ship descended from the clouds. Its pearlescent hull reflected the setting sun, casting an ethereal glow across the city. Crowds gathered in Central Park, necks craned, and eyes wide with wonder, as humanity prepared to usher in a new era of interstellar diplomacy. Area Chen stood on the makeshift stage, her crisp diplomatic uniform a stark contrast to the alien delegates' flowing, iridescent robes. At 28, she was the youngest member of Earth's welcoming committee, chosen for her brilliant work in xenolinguistics. Her heart raced as she watched the ship's landing ramp extend, touching Earth's soil for the first time. "This is history in the making," whispered James Harlow, her mentor, and the head of the diplomatic corps. "Remember every detail, Area. Our grandchildren will ask about this day." As if on cue, the Zarkath ambassador emerged, standing nearly 8 feet tall, with 4 arms and skin that seemed to shimmer with bioluminescence. The alien was a sight to behold. Area's linguistic implant hummed to life, ready to translate the ambassador's first words to humanity. "Greetings, people of Earth." The ambassador's melodious voice resonated across the park. "We come in peace, seeking friendship and the exchange of knowledge." The crowd erupted in cheers. Area felt a surge of hope and excitement. This was why she had joined the diplomatic corps, to bridge worlds, to foster understanding between different species. The next few days were a whirlwind of meetings, cultural exchanges, and celebrations. Area found herself working closely with Zyklal, a junior Zarkath diplomat who seemed just as eager to learn about Earth as she was to understand their civilization. They spent long hours discussing everything from art and music to the intricacies of interstellar politics. "Your species is fascinating, Area," Zyklal said one evening as they watched the sunset from the embassy's observation deck. "So young, yet so full of potential. The Zarkath elders are most interested in your development." Something in Zyklal's tone made Area pause. There was an undercurrent she couldn't quite place. Admiration, yes, but something else too. Curiosity, or perhaps assessment. Later that night, unable to sleep, Area decided to review some of the cultural exchange data in her office at the UN building. As she sifted through the files, a strange anomaly caught her eye. Buried deep within a standard transmission was a hidden data packet, encrypted in a way that didn't match any known Zarkath communication protocols. Intrigued and slightly concerned, Area used her security clearance to access more powerful decryption tools. Hours ticked by as she worked, the first rays of dawn peeking through her office window when she finally cracked the code. What she found chilled her to the bone. The message was a military communique, detailing plans for a full-scale invasion of Earth. The Zarkath ships in orbit weren't part of a peaceful delegation. They were the vanguard of a conquest fleet. Area's mind raced. Who could she trust? How deep did this deception go? With shaking hands, she copied the decrypted message to a secure drive and erased all traces of her night's work. As she left her office, she nearly collided with Zyklal in the hallway. "Area, I've been looking for you," the alien said, its 4 eyes blinking in what she now recognized as barely concealed excitement. "The elders have requested your presence at a special ceremony this afternoon. We're to announce a great gift for humanity." Area forced a smile, her heart pounding. "That's wonderful news, Zyklal. I can't wait to hear more about it." As she watched the Zarkath diplomat glide away, Area knew she was now in a race against time. Somehow, she had to warn Earth's leaders before it was too late. The fate of humanity rested on her shoulders, and the clock was ticking. The deception of peace was about to shatter, and Area Chen found herself standing at the precipice of a war that would reshape the galaxy. The United Nations General Assembly Hall buzzed with excitement. World leaders, diplomats, and media from every corner of the globe had gathered for what they believed would be a historic announcement of interstellar cooperation. Area Chen sat rigid in her seat, the secure drive burning a hole in her pocket. Her eyes darted between the smiling faces of her colleagues, and the towering forms of the Zarkaf delegates. As UN Secretary-General Amara Okoro took the podium, a distant rumble shook the building. Murmurs of confusion rippled through the crowd. Probably just New York traffic, someone joked nervously. Aria knew better, her hand clenched around her phone, waiting for the confirmation she dreaded. Seconds later, it vibrated with an urgent message. Multiple unidentified objects entering atmosphere. Military bases worldwide report losing contact with orbital defenses. It was happening. Now. The chamber's giant screens flickered to life, showing live feeds from cities around the world. Massive Zarkath warships, far larger than the diplomatic vessels, descended from the clouds. Sickly green beams of energy lanced down, shattering skyscrapers and vaporizing panicked crowds. Chaos erupted in the assembly hall. Screams and shouts filled the air as people rushed for the exits. Through the pandemonium, Aria locked eyes with Zyklol. The Zarkath diplomat's expression was a mixture of triumph and what might have been regret. Why? Aria mouthed, even as security personnel began evacuating the diplomats. Zyklol's reply was lost in the cacophony, but Aria read the alien's lips. It's just business, Aria. Nothing personal. As alarms blared and the building shook with nearby impacts, Aria made a split-second decision. Instead of following the evacuation route, she fought against the tide of panicked officials, making her way to Secretary-General Okoro. "Madam Secretary," Aria gasped, reaching her. "I have critical information about the Zarkath. We need to broadcast to whatever's left of our global communications network." Okoro's eyes narrowed, quickly assessing the young diplomat. "Follow me," she commanded. They rushed to the UN's Emergency Broadcast Center, a fortified room deep within the building's sublevels. As they ran, Aria quickly explained her discovery of the hidden Zarkath transmission. "We've been blind," Okoro muttered, her face grim, but perhaps not deaf and dumb. Inside the broadcast center, a skeleton crew worked frantically to establish connections with surviving government and military leaders worldwide. Aria handed over the secure drive, and technicians quickly verified its contents. "We're live in 30 seconds, a communications officer announced. "We've got links to military channels and civilian emergency broadcasts. It's not much, but it's global." Secretary-General Okoro stood before the camera, her posture straight and defiant despite the chaos unfolding above. Aria watched in awe as the leader of the United Nations addressed humanity in its darkest hour. "Citizens of Earth," Okoro began, her voice steady and resolute. "We face an unprecedented crisis. The Zarkath, whom we welcomed as friends, have revealed themselves as conquerors. They believe us weak, divided, and easily subjugated." On screens around her, Aria could see the faces of military commanders, political leaders, and ordinary civilians tuning into the broadcast. Fear was evident in their eyes, but as Okoro spoke, something else began to spark: determination. "But we are humanity," the Secretary-General continued, her voice rising with passion. "We have faced extinction before, from nature, from our own folly, and we have always emerged stronger. We are not merely residents of nations, but citizens of Earth, and we will not go quietly into the night." Okoro's eyes blazed as she delivered the words that would echo across the stars. "To the Zarkath, I say this: you want war. We'll show you what it means. For every city you destroy, we will rebuild too. For every life you take, 1,000 will rise in defiance. You may have the power to scorch our skies, but you will never, never extinguish the fire of human spirit." As cheers erupted from screens worldwide, Aria felt a surge of pride and fierce resolve. The Zarkath had made a grave miscalculation. They had awoken a sleeping giant, and in their arrogance, they had no idea what was coming. The war for Earth, for humanity's very existence, had begun. The underground facility hummed with frenetic energy. Located deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Project Prometheus had remained dormant for decades, waiting for a day humanity hoped would never come. Now, as Area Chen followed Dr. Eliza Frost through the winding corridors, she marveled at the scale of the operation unfolding around her. "We've been preparing for this possibility since the Cold War," Dr. Frost explained, her silver hair gleaming under the harsh fluorescent lights. "Of course, we expected the threat to come from the stars, not our own nuclear arsenals." They entered a vast chamber filled with rows of sleek, otherworldly craft. Engineers and pilots swarmed over the vehicles, preparing them for combat. "Are these?" Aria began, her eyes wide. "Reverse engineered from crashed alien ships," Dr. Frost finished with a wry smile. "Some of them. Others are purely human ingenuity, inspired by the possibility of what's out there. Welcome to humanity's secret arsenal, Ms. Chen." A gruff voice cut through the din. "About time you got here." General Marcus Santos strode towards them, his weathered face a mask of determination. "We're initiating Operation Sleeping Giant, and you're a key part of it." Aria straightened, surprised. "Me, sir? I'm just a diplomat." "A diplomat who uncovered the Zarkath's true intentions," Santos countered. "You've got skills we need. Languages, alien psychology, and the ability to think on your feet. We're not just fighting a war, we're fighting for our survival. We need every edge we can get." He led them to a holographic display of Earth and its surrounding space. Red markers indicated Zarkath positions, while blue showed the remnants of Earth's defenses. "The situation is grim," Santos admitted. "We've lost 40% of major cities, and our conventional militaries are overwhelmed. But now we fight back with everything we've got." Dr. Frost stepped forward. "Project Prometheus isn't just about hidden weapons. We've seeded every continent with dormant defense systems, energy shields, automated counterattack drones, and more. Ms. Chen, your diplomatic codes will help us activate these systems worldwide." Aria's mind reeled at the implications. "You hid planet-wide defenses in plain sight. How?" "Disguise as everything from cell towers to public art installations," Frost explained. "The Zarkath's scans would have dismissed them as harmless human technology." General Santos nodded grimly. "It's time to show these aliens what humanity can do when pushed to the brink." "Dr. Frost, begin the activation sequence." Aria watched in awe as Frost's fingers flew over the holographic controls. Across the globe, innocuous structures began to transform. In New York, the Statue of Liberty's torch erupted into a blazing energy shield that enveloped Manhattan. The Eiffel Tower in Paris became the control spire for a swarm of deadly nanodrones. The Great Wall of China hummed to life, becoming a continent-spanning sensor array. "My God," Aria breathed. "God had nothing to do with it," Santos said. "This is human ingenuity and paranoia at its finest." Alarms blared suddenly. On the holographic display, Zarkath ships began to fall from the sky as Earth's hidden defenses tore into them. "It's working," an analyst shouted. "We're registering hits worldwide." A cheer went up around the chamber, but Santos silenced it with a raised hand. "This is just the beginning. The Zarkath will regroup and hit back harder. We need to press our advantage." He turned to Aria. "That's where you come in, Chen. We're forming elite strike teams, part soldier, part diplomat, part spy. Your mission will be to infiltrate Zarkath strongholds, gather intel, and if possible, turn some of their allies against them." Aria swallowed hard, the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. "I'm not a soldier, sir." "None of us were ready for this," Santos said softly. "But Earth needs you. Humanity needs you. Are you in?" Aria looked around at the faces turned towards her, hopeful, determined, afraid but unwavering. She thought of her family in San Francisco, of the billions fighting for survival above. She straightened her spine and met the general's gaze. "I'm in, sir. Let's show the Zarkath what humanity is really made of." As klaxons sounded and personnel rushed to battle stations, Operation Sleeping Giant roared to life. The real war for Earth had begun. The captured Zarkaf shuttle hummed ominously as Aria and her team approached. Its organic-looking hull pulsed with an eerie bioluminescence, a stark reminder of the alien nature of their mission. Aria adjusted her disguise, a skin-tight suit that mimicked Zarkaf biology, and tried to quell the butterflies in her stomach. "Remember," Captain Rhea Patel whispered, her eyes scanning their surroundings, "we have a 15-minute window to infiltrate the warship, locate the bioweapon, and extract. Any longer, and our cover's blown." Aria nodded, acutely aware of the immense risk they were taking. Beside her, Dr. Kensuke Watanabe double-checked his portable analysis kit. The fourth member of their team, Major Carlos Ortiz, gripped his concealed weapon tightly. As they boarded the shuttle, Aria's linguistic implant hummed to life, ready to translate and mimic Zarkaf speech patterns. The plan was audacious: pose as a returning scout team, infiltrate one of the massive Zarkaf warships hovering above the ruins of Sydney, and uncover the truth about the rumored bioweapon. The journey to the warship was tense but mercifully short. As they docked, Aria took a deep breath and stepped forward. Everything hinged on these next few moments. A towering Zarkaf security officer approached, its 4 eyes narrowing suspiciously. "Identify yourselves and state your purpose," it growled. Aria felt a bead of sweat trickle down her spine, but kept her voice steady. "Scout Team Zeta 9 returning from Earth surface analysis. We bring urgent data for the Bioforge project." The security officer's upper eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of surprise, Aria hoped, not disbelief. After an agonizing moment, it waved them through. As they moved deeper into the ship, the alien environment became increasingly disorienting. Organic architecture melded seamlessly with advanced technology, and the air was thick with an acrid smell that their suits barely filtered out. "Life signs indicate the bioweapon lab should be 2 levels down," Watanabe murmured, consulting his disguised scanner. They made their way carefully, hearts pounding with each encounter. Twice, they had to duck into side passages to avoid senior Zarkaf officers. The minutes ticked by agonizingly slow. Finally, they reached a heavily guarded door. Aria stepped forward again, praying her linguistic skills wouldn't fail her now. "We bring critical data from the surface," she told the guards. "The humans have developed a potential countermeasure. We must update the Bioforge immediately." For a moment, she thought they'd been made. Then, to her immense relief, the guards stepped aside. The team rushed in, and the sight that greeted them was horrifying. Massive vats lined the walls, filled with a churning, sickly green liquid. Holographic displays showed simulations of the bioweapon's effects on human biology: cellular breakdown, organ failure, neural degradation. "My God," Patel breathed. "They're planning to wipe us out entirely." Watanabe worked feverishly, collecting samples and data. "This is beyond anything we imagined. The weapon targets human DNA specifically. If released, it would mean the extinction of our species within days." Suddenly, alarms blared. A Zarkaf voice boomed over the intercom. "Intruder alert. Human agents detected in Bioforge chamber." "We've been made," Ortiz shouted, drawing his weapon. "We need to move now." But as they turned to flee, they found their exit blocked by a squad of heavily armed Zarkaf soldiers. In the lead was a familiar face, Zyklal, Aria's former diplomatic counterpart. "Aria Chen," Zyklal said, its voice a mixture of admiration and regret. "I must admit, I'm impressed you made it this far, but your little mission ends here." Aria's mind raced. They were trapped, outgunned, and out of time. The fate of humanity rested on the data they'd collected, data they somehow had to get back to Earth. As Zarkaf weapons powered up around them, Aria made a split-second decision. She met Zyklal's 4-eyed gaze and said, "You're right, Zyklal. It ends here, but not in the way you think." With that, she activated the emergency transmitter hidden in her suit. As energy beams lanced towards them, The lab erupted in a blinding flash of light. The Trojan Gambit had reached its endgame, and the next move in this cosmic chess match would determine the fate of two species. The ruins of Chicago loomed in the twilight, a jagged silhouette against the burning sky. Aria crouched behind a crumbling wall, her eyes fixed on the Zarkaf patrol marching down Michigan Avenue. 6 months had passed since her team's daring mission on the alien warship, and Earth had become a battleground of shadows and whispers. "They're moving out of range," whispered Sam Chen, Aria's younger brother, and now her unlikely partner in the resistance. "We've got about 3 minutes to cross to the rendezvous point." Aria nodded, her hand tightening on the makeshift weapon, a jury-rigged alien blaster combined with Earth tech. The data they'd stolen from the Zarkaf bioweapon lab had been crucial, allowing Earth's remaining scientists to develop countermeasures. But the cost had been high. Peitel and Ortiz hadn't made it out. Dr. Watanabe was still missing in action. As they darted from cover to cover, Aria marveled at how quickly humanity had adapted. The global underground network, nicknamed the Mole Highway, had turned Earth's conquered cities into a resistance fighter's playground. Ordinary people had become extraordinary heroes. They reached the rendezvous point, the ruins of the Art Institute of Chicago. Inside, the grand galleries had been transformed into a bustling rebel base. Artists worked alongside engineers, turning masterpieces into hiding spots for weapons and supplies. In one corner, a group huddled around a painting, and Aria realized with a start that they were using the complex patterns of a Jackson Pollock to encode resistance messages. "Aria, Sam, thank God you made it," called out Dr. Amelia Lakewood, emerging from behind a makeshift command center built around Surratt's, a Sunday on La Grande Jatte. The irony of using art of leisure to plan war wasn't lost on Aria. "We've got news," Amelia continued, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "The Zarkaf are pulling troops from the West Coast. We think they're struggling to maintain their hold." A cheer went up around the gallery, quickly hushed. Hope was a precious commodity these days. "There's more," Sam added, pulling out a battered tablet. "We've decrypted some Zarkaf communications. They're scared of us." Aria blinked in surprise. "Scared? Of humans?" Sam nodded vigorously. "Their reports are full of bewilderment. They can't understand how we keep fighting back, how we turn their own tech against them. There's talk of human ingenuity being some kind of superpower they didn't account for." A grizzled man stepped forward. Daniel Okonkwo, once a history teacher, now the leader of Chicago's resistance cell. "It's time we show them what that ingenuity can really do. Aria, we need your skills for a special mission." He led them to a hidden room where a group of civilians were tinkering with a massive device. Aria recognized it immediately. A Zarkaf atmospheric converter, designed to make Earth's air more suitable for the aliens. "We've reprogrammed it," Amelia explained. "Instead of changing our atmosphere, it'll release a cloud of nanobots, harmless to humans, but they'll disrupt Zarkaf communication and weapon systems." Aria's eyes widened. "That's brilliant, but how do we deploy it?" Daniel's face hardened. "We need to get it to the top of Willis Tower. The Zarkaf have turned it into their central command for the Midwest. You're the only one who can get us past their security, Aria." The weight of responsibility settled on Aria's shoulders once again. She thought of all the lives depending on this mission, of the cities yet unconquered, of the future they were fighting for. "When do we move?" she asked. "Tonight," Daniel replied. "We got a narrow window when they're rotating guards. Aria, if we pull this off, it could be the turning point for the entire Midwest." As the team began their final preparations, Aria gazed out a broken window at the alien-occupied city. 6 months ago, she had been a diplomat, trying to bridge worlds. Now she was a symbol of humanity's defiance, a beacon of hope in the darkness. "You wanted war," she whispered to the distant Zarkaf ships. "We're showing you what it means to face humanity united. The homefront revolution was about to strike its boldest blow yet. The ancient chamber beneath Machu Picchu hummed with an energy that made Area's skin tingle. Intricate patterns carved into the stone walls pulsed with a soft, blue light, a perfect fusion of Incan craftsmanship and something decidedly not of this earth. "I can't believe this was here all along," Sam murmured, his eyes wide with wonder. Dr. Lakewood nodded, her fingers tracing the alien glyphs, hidden in plain sight for centuries. The Inca called it the doorway of the gods. We now know it's much more than that. Area approached the central altar, where a spherical device about the size of a basketball hovered inches above the stone surface. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, reflecting distorted images of the chamber around it. "The Oracle," Area breathed. Their mission to deploy the Nanobook cloud in Chicago had been a resounding success, crippling Zarkaf operations across the Midwest. But it had also yielded an unexpected discovery: fragmented data about an ancient Earth artifact of alien origin. The trail had led them here, to the heart of the Andes. "Are we sure about this?" Sam asked, eyeing the sphere warily. "I mean, for all we know, this could be some kind of Zarkaf trap." Amelia shook her head. "The energy signatures don't match anything in the Zarkaf arsenal. This is older, much older." Area took a deep breath and placed her hand on the oracle. The surface rippled at her touch, and suddenly, the chamber disappeared. She found herself floating in a vast starscape, planets, and galaxies swirling around her. A voice, neither male nor female, young nor old, spoke directly into her mind. "Welcome, child of Earth. You have awakened the Oracle Protocol." Images flashed before Area's eyes. Earth, as it was millions of years ago, a thriving civilization, far more advanced than anything in human history. Then, catastrophe. A great war that scorched the planet. "Your ancestors," the voice explained. "The first Earth. They sought to protect their legacy, to give their descendants a fighting chance when the stars turned hostile once more." Area saw glimpses of Zarkaf ships, but also other alien races, some benevolent, others as threatening as their current invaders. "The Oracle is a key," the voice continued, "a bridge to your true inheritance." With a gasp, Area found herself back in the chamber, her teammates looking at her with concern. "Area, are you okay?" "You were glowing," Sam said, his voice shaky. She nodded, her mind reeling from the revelation. "I know where we need to go next. There's a hidden human colony out there, descendants of the first Earth. They have technology that could turn the tide of the war." Before she could explain further, the chamber shook violently. Dust and small stones rained down from the ceiling. "We've got company," shouted Daniel, who had been keeping watch outside. He rushed in, his face grim. "Zarkaf dropships, at least 3 of them. They must have detected the Oracle's activation." Amelia's eyes widened in panic. "If they get their hands on this." "They won't," Area said firmly. She placed her hand back on the Oracle, willing it to respond. To her amazement, the sphere liquefied, flowing up her arm and absorbing into her skin. A pattern of intricate, glowing lines appeared briefly on her flesh before fading. The others stared in shock. "Area, what did you just do?" Sam asked, his voice a mix of awe and fear. She met his gaze, a new determination in her eyes. "What I had to. The Oracle's knowledge is safer with me than falling into Zarkaf hands. Now we need to move. Our ride is coming." As if on cue, the chamber filled with a brilliant white light. When it faded, a shimmering portal stood where the altar had been. "How did you?" Amelia began, but Area cut her off. "No time to explain. We need to go now." The sounds of Zarkaf weapons fire echoed from outside, growing closer. Area took one last look at the ancient chamber, silently thanking Earth's forgotten guardians. Then, with her team close behind, she stepped through the portal and into humanity's next chapter. The war for Earth had just become a race across the stars. The gleaming spires of New Atlantis rose before them, a testament to human ingenuity and the legacy of the first Earth. Aria and her team stood on the observation deck of the colonial ship that had brought them to this hidden world, light years from the embattled Earth. "It's beautiful," Sam whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. Aria nodded, but her expression remained guarded. The knowledge imparted by the oracle swirled in her mind, a constant reminder of the complexities they faced. "Remember," she cautioned, "not everything is as it seems." As they disembarked, they were greeted by a delegation led by Governor Elara Vance, a tall woman with silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom. "Welcome to New Atlantis," Vance said, her voice warm, but her gaze calculating. "We've awaited your arrival for generations." Aria felt a chill run down her spine. How could they have been expecting them? The next few days were a whirlwind of revelations. New Atlantis was a marvel of technology far beyond anything on Earth. Anti-gravity vehicles zipped between buildings, while holograms and AI assistants were commonplace. The colonists spoke of Earth with a mixture of reverence and detachment, as if it were a distant ancestor rather than their homeworld. During a tour of the city's central archive, Dr. Lakewood couldn't contain her excitement. The scientific advancements here could turn the tide against the Zarkaf. With this technology, we could drive them from Earth in weeks. But Aria noticed the hesitation in their guide's eyes, the way conversations would stop when they entered a room. The oracle's warnings echoed in her mind. Not all paths lead home. Beware the echoes of old betrayals. It was during a state dinner that the other shoe finally dropped. Governor Vance stood to make a toast, her expression solemn. "To our guests from Earth and to the future of humanity," she began. "For centuries, we've watched and waited, knowing this day would come. The Zarkath invasion was regrettable, but necessary." A stunned silence fell over the room. Aria's hand moved instinctively to the weapon hidden beneath her formal attire. Vance continued, "Earth had to be tested, pushed to its limits. Only then could we be sure you were ready for the truth, ready to rejoin the galactic community. You knew." Aria's voice was barely above a whisper, rage and disbelief warring within her. "Billions have died, and you just watched." The governor's eyes hardened. Sacrifices were necessary. The galaxy is a harsh place, and humanity needed to prove its resilience. The Zarkaf were encouraged to attack, a controlled test of Earth's defenses and adaptability. Chaos erupted in the dining hall. Sam and Daniel moved to flank Aria, while Dr. Lakewood looked on in horror. "You're no better than the Zarkaf," Aria spat. "Worse, even. At least they were honest about being our enemies." Vance sighed, looking genuinely regretful. "You don't understand yet, but you will. The first Earth fell because they weren't prepared for the realities of interstellar politics. We won't make the same mistake again." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the city. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a massive fleet dropping out of faster-than-light travel near the planet. "Zarkath," someone gasped. Vance's face paled. "Impossible. They weren't supposed to be able to follow you here." Aria's mind raced, piecing together the fragments of knowledge from the oracle. "You underestimated us," she realized. "Earth and the Zarkath. We've both evolved beyond your controlled test." As chaos engulfed the room, Aria made a split-second decision. She activated the oracle's power within her, feeling the ancient technology surge through her veins. Holographic displays sprang to life around her, showing the defenses of New Atlantis and the approaching Zarkath fleet. "Listen to me," she commanded, her voice carrying an authority that silenced the room. "Your betrayal has put all of humanity at risk. But right now, we have a common enemy. Help us defeat the Zarkath, and then we'll deal with your crimes against Earth." Governor Vance hesitated, then nodded grimly. "What do you propose?" Aria's eyes gleamed with determination. "It's time to show both you and the Zarkath what humanity is truly capable of when united. This ends now." As the city's defenses powered up and colonial ships launched, Aria steeled herself for the battle ahead. The war for Earth had become a fight for the soul of humanity itself. The space above New Atlantis erupted into a dazzling display of destruction as Earth's guerrilla tactics clashed with Zarkath brute force and New Atlantine advanced technology. Aria stood at the heart of it all, the Oracle's power surging through her, connecting her to every ship, every weapon system, every scrap of data flowing through the battlefield. Zarkath forces breaching the outer defense grid. Sam's voice crackled over the comms. Aria's mind raced, processing information faster than any human had before. Reroute power from sectors 7 through 12. Prepare to execute maneuver Omega-3. Governor Vance, standing beside her in the command center, watched in awe as the holographic battlefield shifted, Earth ships darting between lumbering Zarkath cruisers with impossible precision. "How are you doing this?" Vance whispered. Aria's eyes, glowing with ethereal energy, flicked to the governor. "This is what happens when humanity faces true adversity. We adapt. We overcome, something you and the Zarkath fail to understand." Suddenly, a new alert blared. Dr. Lakewood's voice cut through the chaos. "Massive energy signature detected. It's coming from Jupiter." The holographic display zoomed out, revealing a swirling vortex of energy forming near Jupiter's great red spot. From it emerged a fleet of ships unlike anything they'd seen before. Sleek, organic-looking vessels that moved with fluid grace. "First Earth," Aria breathed, the Oracle's knowledge flooding her mind. "They've returned." The newcomers wasted no time, their advanced weapons tearing through Zarkath ships with ease. But they didn't discriminate, targeting New Atlantian and Earth vessels as well. "They see us all as children squabbling over toys," Aria realized aloud. "This isn't a rescue. It's a culling." Governor Vance paled. "We've awoken something far beyond our control, haven't we?" Aria nodded grimly. "Your controlled test just failed spectacularly." As the battle raged, Aria felt the Oracle's power pushing her to its limits. She saw glimpses of possible futures. Humanity crushed under the First Earth's heel, the Zarkath assimilated into their armada, New Atlantis reduced to ash. But she also saw hope. Flashes of unity, of disparate forces coming together against impossible odds. With a deep breath, Aria opened a channel to all ships, Earth, Zarkath, and New Atlantian alike. "This is Aria Chen of Earth," she began, her voice echoing across the stars. "We face extinction at the hands of those who would deem us unworthy of existence. But I've seen our potential. Apart we fall. United, we have a chance." She turned to Governor Vance. "New Atlantis, you sought to test us. Now prove you're worthy of the legacy you claim." To the Zarkath fleet, she said, "You came to conquer, but found equals instead. Fight with us now, and we can forge a new future together." For a moment, silence reigned across the battlefield. Then, one by one, ships began to fall into formation. Earth fighters flanked by Zarkath cruisers, New Atlantian technicians coordinating with both. As the unified fleet engaged the First Earth Armada, Aria felt the Oracle's power reaching its crescendo. With a burst of clarity, she understood what needed to be done. "There's a weak point in their dimensional drive," she communicated to the fleet. "If we can overload it, we can send them back where they came from and seal the rift." What followed was the most intricate dance of ships and energy the galaxy had ever seen. Earth's unconventional tactics, Zarkath firepower, and New Atlantian technology wove together in a symphony of survival. At the critical moment, Aria channeled every ounce of the Oracle's power into a single focused beam. The rift near Jupiter flickered, pulsed, and then collapsed in on itself, taking the First Earth fleet with it. As cheers erupted across every ship and station, Aria felt the Oracle's energy fading. She smiled, even as exhaustion overtook her. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity, in all its forms, had proven itself. Governor Vance approached, her expression a mix of awe and remorse. What happens now? Arya looked out at the battered but united fleet. Now, she said softly, we rebuild. Together. As the stars twinkled around them, the seeds of a new galactic alliance were sown. Humanity had faced its trial by fire and emerged not just unbound, but transcendent. The end was just the beginning.